The man spent $100,000 just for adventure on the glacier. The thin hanging ladder only allows one person to pass through. Underneath are deep crevices in the glacier. If you are a little careless, you'll break to pieces. Here, Beck's fingers have been frozen stiff as he passed the hanging ladder. It's even more tense and difficult to move. Suddenly, the huge glacier next to it is starting to fall off, shocked Beck off the ladder. Thanks to tying the safety rope in advance, he didn't fall off the cliff. Rob immediately stepped forward to rescue Beck, but Beck didn't show any gratitude. Open. N. 5 Thoughts and Daughters Cloth has long been accustomed to customers' complaints, but he also realized that, I can't go on like this. Too many mountaineering teams set off at a concentrated time. Not only will it damage the safety devices on the road, it will also delay the time of the following teams. That very evening, Rob will gather all the mountaineering captains, suggest everyone to start in an orderly manner. The best time to climb the mountain is fleeting. No one wants to be behind. The final meeting did not discuss the outcome either. To increase the safety of one's own team, Rob found the leader of another strong team, thinking and proposing cooperation between two teams. There is a mutual reference, although Fintok has always had a competitive relationship with Rob, but in order for each team to climb Mount Everest, the two teams have temporarily reached a cooperative relationship. They share their experiences with each other, develop a new plan. On the day before departure, Rob's team takes a group photo, but who could have thought of it? This became the last photo for some people, and it finally arrived on May the 10th. Under Rob's leadership, the team members have officially embarked on the journey of challenging Mount Everest. They walk through the spiral staircase to each other, came to Camp 1. An elderly team member is experiencing physical discomfort. I can only give up and return to the foot of the mountain. Rob and the others manage to cross Camp 2. Everest doesn't seem to want them to be too smooth. Countless blood clots suddenly rolled down the calm hillside. One team member couldn't dodge, knocked down by a blood clot, down the slope, thanks to Rob holding him halfway, inserting Iceland into the snow. That's when it stopped. The team arrived at Camp 3 without any danger. Rob realized that Scott was still at Camp 1. Because escorting customers down the mountain, he wasted a lot of time. It is very dangerous to commute between high and low altitudes within a day. Meanwhile, Helen from the headquarters told them bad news. A powerful airflow is coming from the south. It's very likely to meet the mountaineering team the next day. It is precisely this excessive confidence, causing Rob to suffer a devastating disaster. They went all the way up, at an altitude of 7,951 meters. This is also the last camp before reaching the summit. At this height, there is a lot of wind and snow. If we stop moving now, everything's still in time. But Rob confidently let the team rest in place for a night. Early the next morning, Gonding arrived at 12:30 p.m. The sky, which was originally ravaged by a raging storm, suddenly became quiet. This is the weather on the plateau. Change as you speak. Rob thinks this is a deity protecting them. He doesn't want to miss this rare opportunity, so he woke up his sleeping teammates, decided to advance towards the peak overnight. At this moment news came from the headquarters. The other teams were trapped in Camp 3 due to strong winds. Currently only Rob's team is expected to reach the top. The team members are all excited about this. After traveling for 4 hours, they arrived at the balcony rock wall, which is 8,400 meters long, but in the end, it was less than 500 meters high. But it's the hardest part. At this point, Rob discovered something unusual about Beck. Because watching snow for a long time, his eyes developed snow blindness. Rob decided to immediately arrange for Beck to descend the mountain, but Beck firmly opposed Rob, and had no time to argue with him. He can only rest here alone for a period of time. At this point, the leading team encountered another problem. The safety rope on the rock wall was blown off by strong winds. They must spend time reinstalling to move forward. Several customers are worried about wasting oxygen here, choose to give up hiking, and return to the base camp. When Rob arrives here, they just finished installing it, but it also caused time, delayed for nearly 2 hours. This is the last eye-catching section before the summit, called Hillary Step. According to the name of the first person to reach the summit, Edmund Hillary, it's also the last challenge to climb Mount Everest. Under the close cooperation of Scott and Rob teams, the group finally succeeded in reaching the summit. They were extremely excited, embrace and congratulate each other. However, mysterious mountainside. On the way, I met a customer named Doug who had just climbed the stairs. Doug is a postman. Save and save in exchange for a chance to climb the mountain. 3 years ago, he has already given up halfway once. This is his last chance to reach the summit. Seeing the mountaintop right in front of me, say nothing and don't want to give up. Rob was moved by his persistence, decided to help him fulfill his dream. With the help of Rob, Doug finally reached the summit, fulfilling his lifelong dream. But when they returned to Hillary Step, Doug actually fainted. Rob realized that his oxygen had been depleted. He decided to ask his teammate to take the oxygen tank and return, but at this moment, sudden weather changes. A major snowstorm suddenly struck. Even if Rob receives a meteorological warning from the headquarters, he still doesn't want to give up. Doug determinedly go to find a teammate to bring back the oxygen tank. Here, unconscious Doug doesn't want to implicate Rob, since you untied the safety rope yourself. Falling into a cliff of 10,000 feet, Rob turned around, discovered that there were only isolated locks. He felt a deep sense of self-blame, but everything is irreparable, because it took up time. He's also struggling to keep himself safe now. The blizzard stopped him on the stairs. Not long after, a teammate came to deliver the oxygen tank. The two of them are no longer there. The way down the mountain, we can only find a crack in the rock and hide, waiting for rescue. Unexpectedly, my teammates have hallucinations due to room temperature. He felt a fever in his body. Start undressing. As a result, I was accidentally blown down by the strong wind. Meanwhile, The big team ahead is also having a tough time. Beck is following the team down the mountain. Suddenly, the sole of a foot slipped, charged down with other teammates. Everyone fell into a mess. Mutual ignorance of life and death. A few people who are still angry, with a final consciousness, go to the camp to call for support. At this time only one person rushed out to rescue the camp. Because of limited abilities, he can only save one baker who falls to the ground at a time. But he couldn't make a sound. I can only watch others leave. The tragic night passed like this. The next day, Rob has been covered in heavy snow. Almost all of my body was frozen stiff. He called the headquarters with his last breath, requesting rescue teammates to encourage Rob to persevere. Connected to his wife, my wife told him she was pregnant with his child, begging Rob to survive. But at this moment, Rob was already exhausted. Can't hold out until a rescue team arrives. Can only use the last sound to give their child a name. In the end, in his wife's affectionate confession, Rob slowly closed his eyes. On the other side, the unconscious Beck woke up in the sunlight. At this moment, he was stiff all over. Fingers and face were severely frostbitten or blackened. But he thought that his family could still stand up with tenacious perseverance. In the end he put in all his strength, stumbled all the way back to the campsite. The team couldn't believe their eyes. Quickly carry out emergency response for him, and Rob, who is halfway up the mountain, is not so lucky. When my teammates arrive, he has already been lying here with a stiff body. Beck's wife initiates all relationships. Mobilize a helicopter to pick up Baker back. Because I froze all night in the snow, his hands and nose are already necrotic. Had to undergo surgery for removal. Until now, Rob's body remains on the mountain with other victims. The film changes based on real events. Being able to climb Mount Everest, it's a great feat in life. However, in front of nature, everything is so small again. While taking risks, we must learn to revere nature. Dreams are certainly important, but life safety is the first